I'm Simon and I'm a misfit.
I'm Adam and I'm a misfit too.
Welcome back to our instructional video series of how to make a sculpture of a pensioner sitting on a rock feeding a couple of birds. Now it's been a bit of a hiatus since our last instructional video and we haven't been sleeping. Oh no.
No, we've been working our butts off.
We've been working hard. Creating Umbala, our newest creation, which is a giant sculpture of a caterpillar, which is also a big playground, playable like a board game, with 10 sculpted scenes. All of these scenes have been sculpted using the methods we're teaching you in this video. So by the time you get to the end of this video, you'll be able to make an Umbala for yourself.
So, I know it's been a while since our last video and you guys are eager to get started. We're going to do all the accessories for the pensioner today. We're going to do a rock, we're going to do two birds eating out of his hand, and we're going to do the fedora. So let's start with the rock.
Fine rock, I might add.
So our rock needs to be somewhere around 46 centimeters high and 46 centimeters wide.
We cut a sheet of the mesh at 160 centimeters long and 86 centimeters wide.
We're going to do an 8 square overlap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. And we're going to start putting it together, making a cylinder. Okay, now we're going to magically turn this big cylinder into a rock. Let me grab some scissors. Okay, first we're going to do the bottom of the rock. You can start any way you like. Take your scissors and cut 10 squares down. Nine, 10. Okay. You're going to go about 8 squares over and do the same thing. Cut 10 squares down again. And you're going to continue doing this all the way around the cylinder. 8 squares over, 10 squares down. Okay, now that you've cut all the way around your cylinder, you're just going to fold each flap at a 90 degree. Basically just flat in, like, and do that all the way around. So now you're going to attach a few prongs to fold all of these sheets together. Okay, and that is the base of your rock. Okay, now to give the rock shape, we're going to start off doing the same thing. We're going to cut 10 squares down. Go 8 squares over again. And cut 10 squares down one more time. Now so we don't end up with just like this cylinder, we're going to go 11 squares on the next cut, and we're going to go 12 squares on the cut after that, and that will give it like a tapered effect. Lift your rock up and start folding these flaps down one by one. Okay, now that you have all your flaps folded down, if you want to play with the shape a little bit, go for it. And you can squeeze it a little bit here. You can pull one out a little bit. You can do whatever you like. And then just secure it.
And here's our completed rock. As you can see, there are parts that are a little bit higher, where we cut the squares only 10 squares deep, and there are parts that are a little bit lower, where we cut 11, 12. We've got a little bump here, which we created, so it has a nice organic shape of a rock. So now let's move on to the bird. Here we've made a little bird using the small mesh. You'll see it looks very, very small to start off with, but keep in mind we're going to be adding cement to this guy. So you'll see when we get to the cementing phase, he's going to get quite a bit bigger. So let's hand over to Adam, who's going to show us exactly how to create a little bird just like this guy.
Okay, so for the small bird, we're going to take 3 pieces of small mesh. Yeah? So just like the big mesh, I'm going to count the squares. We're going to need 1 piece for the head, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 squares wide, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares long.
So that's 3 centimeters wide by 5 centimeters long.
So with our first piece, we're just simply going to make a cylinder with a 1 square overlap. Now that we have our cylinder, we're going to set this aside and take our next piece, which is for the body, and that is
10 centimeters long by 5 centimeters wide.
And we're going to make another cylinder with a 2 square overlap. Now that we've made the cylinder for the body, we're going to make a few adjustments. We need to make a taper on the chest and a taper underneath. You're going to take your snips and cut 3 squares down. And then just fold it in on itself. And secure it. Now that we have our top taper for the chest, we're going to do the same thing at the bottom. This time we're only going to cut 2 squares up. Once you've cut those 2 squares, do the same thing and fold it in on itself. You should have a shape something like this. Now at the bottom you'll see some loose prongs. What I did for the first bird is I just fanned them out towards the back of the bird to give you a reference point for where the tail is going to go. Now that you have your body complete, we're going to attach the head. So the first cylinder we made, we're going to take our snips and do the same thing that we did on the body and cut 1 square in on both sides and then fold it in on itself once again. So you should have a shape like this. Now with the small mesh, it's going to be very hard to connect all these prongs. So for all these loose prongs, we're just going to bend them in towards the cylinder. So now you take this cylinder and your body and you attach it the head to the neck. Now that you have the head attached to the body, we're going to put on the tail. So we're going to cut some small mesh to the dimensions of
5 centimeters and 6 centimeters.
Very nice. So for this, we're just going to go to the front of the small mesh and attach it. Now that you have your square sheet of small mesh attached to the bottom, we're just going to cut it to a nice shape of a tail.
So we have our little bird. Now if you're going to have closed wings on the bird, it's not all that necessary to make the shape of the wings out of metal mesh. Keeping in mind we're going to be adding a decent layer of cement, about 1.5 centimeters or thereabouts. If however you want the wings to be open, it is necessary to make something using the mesh. So we're going to do one bird with closed wings and one bird with open wings, just so we can show you how to do it. So to start off with, I've taken a sheet of the small mesh, which is 15 centimeters long by 6 centimeters wide, and this is for the whole wingspan. What we've done, we've taken a picture from the internet of a shape of a wing, just a general shape. It doesn't have to be super precise because, as I say, when we add the cement, we're going to get the detail at that stage. And I've drawn this picture, I've drawn the shape on a piece of paper. I'm going to fold my mesh in half. And then with a marker, I'm just going to outline the shape of the wing. And here we can cut along that outline. And we have a nice symmetrical wing.
Wow, nice wing, Simon. Wow.
That we can add to the bird. And we're just going to tie that in the way we normally do, just with the spare prongs. And you can bend the wings how you like, if you want them more open, if you want to have a fold in them, as if they're in the motion of flying, any shape that you like. So the final piece of this video, we're going to make a hat similar to this one that's going to fit snugly on the head that we taught you how to make earlier. So to start off with, we're going to take the measurement of the brim of the hat. It's oval shaped, so we're going to take the measurement from the back to the front and then from side to side.
So front to back we have 34 centimeters.
Side to side.
29 centimeters.
And we're going to cut a sheet of the mesh, the small mesh, to that specification. Now, because we want to have a nice oval shape, we're just going to take our pen and mark the corners where we're going to cut them off. So here we have the oval shape for the brim of the hat. So I mentioned earlier we want the hat to fit snugly on the head. Now, because we've made the head smaller because we're adding cement, the hat that we're using as a model is a bit too big. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use Adam as a model. He's going to be wearing the hat, how the model's going to be wearing the hat, the sculpture. I'm just going to look where on the head the hat reaches at the front and at the back as well. And we're just going to measure around the circumference of the head here to get that measurement. There we have 54 centimeters. So we have a strip of mesh which is 54 centimeters long
by 21 high.
Very nice.
So we're going to take our mesh once again and make a cylinder like so. and we're going to attach from one corner to the other corner. We're not going to have any overlap on this part here. So why we attach just the corner is because we want to make this taper here. You can see on the hat where it's nice and round in the back to the sides, but then in the front it tapers in to a nice sharp point. So we're going to take our mesh and once we fold it in on the side. Here, this is where I attached the two corners, and we have a 13 square overlap on the top. When I secure this to the brim of the hat, I'm just going to center it in the middle and make sure I have an even distance all the way around. Now that we've centered the top of the hat to the brim, we're going to make sure all of our prongs are sticking through the brim, and we're just going to fold them over one by one. Okay, so we've attached the top cylinder to the brim of the hat. Now we need to take a measurement on our hat to see where we need to cut and start to shape it to look like the fedora we have here.
Okay, so the back is 9 centimeters.
9 centimeters.
The tallest part at the side is 11. And at the front, it is 10.
10. Okay, so we're going to do the same trick that we did on the rock. We're going to make multiple cuts and fold them in, and that will create the height of the hat and the top of the hat.
Cool. So we said 9 centimeters. But keep in mind we're going to reduce that by 2 centimeters, so we've got some allowance for cement. So I'm going to mark it at 7 centimeters. Then at the side we said 12, which makes 10. And at the front was 10. Take 2, which makes 8. Let's do the other side.
Okay, so grab your scissors, and the first cut we'll make is down the back of the hat, and we'll go right down to where we measured here. Now we can fold down. Okay, for now we're going to leave these loose, and we're going to cut out this circle so we can then access the small mesh underneath and tie all this together. It's going to be much easier that way. So now we have the brim, the top cylinder, we've cut out the hole, and now all that's left to do is attach the flaps from the top of the hat. And basically just find any loose prong that you can and tie it up through to itself. Yeah. And just like that, we have a hat. Look, if this wasn't for this sculpture, I'd be taking this hat to town tonight.
So here we have the head together with the hat. Just like with the wings to the bird, you can bend the rim of the hat to the shape that you like if you don't like the shape that's naturally being formed by the metal mesh. But that's it for this video. We've showed you how to make a hat, a bird, and a rock.
That's it for now.
See you next time.